And this is the project we have all been waiting for. I found this Ivar cabinet at the As Is section in IKEA. It was only $49 and I was like, let's go ahead and flip this. I had a vision in my head right when I saw it, and what I went ahead and did was I measured the length of the front of the door first because I found these 1/2-inch wooden dowels at Lowe's. They were $4.50 per 8-foot section, and I ended up getting about 21 of these for the entire project. However, if you do have the skill set to cut down a piece of plywood into 1/2-inch sections, you can totally do that as well. I just do not have the capability to do that. So I bought these 1/2-inch dowels, and what I am doing is I'm first cutting them to be the exact height of my cabinet door fronts. Now the door fronts are actually a little bit different than the side pieces for some reason. I'm not sure why, because they look pretty similar, but I ended up cutting a lot of these for the door fronts, and then we're also going to be cutting them for the side pieces as well. But what we're going to start off by doing is just placing our farthest left little dowel section on and using a nail gun to nail it down. Now I started off with using 1.5-inch nails, which ended up resulting in the nail going through the other side like this. So I ended up going back to Lowe's and I picked up some 1-inch nails, which as you can see are much shorter, and they were perfect. So once I got back, I was able to continue on, and this is actually a very simple process. All you have to do is place down one of your wooden dowels as a spacer, and then place another dowel right next to it, butting it up to your spacer piece, and then nail down your piece of wood and then pull out the spacer, if that makes sense. I feel like this is a very hard thing to explain. It's a little bit more simple if you kind of see what I'm doing on the screen here, but basically what I'm doing is I'm placing down my wooden dowel, and there's a spacer in between where I'm going to be spacing out the wood. So basically every 1/2 inch there is a wooden dowel stapled out. However, it's just much easier to use a wooden dowel as a spacer since I want everything to be very symmetrical as well. So I finished the entire front of this cabinet by nail gunning down all of the wooden dowels across the front of it, and once this is stained, you can really see that texture, but as a light wood like this, it's kind of hard to tell. So I repeated the process across the other front door, and you can kind of see how I'm doing it a little bit easier here. We are then going to go ahead and repeat the process on the sides as well, because the main sections that are going to be showing are the sides and the top. So I cut out the wooden dowels and I repeated the same exact process by cutting them down and then nail gunning them to the side of the cabinet, both the left and right side. And then we gotta go ahead and create the base for this, which I really think elevates the whole piece. So I grabbed these 1x6s and I cut out 2 pieces that were 27 inches and 2 pieces that were 6 1/4 inch. Basically, we're gonna be creating a box on the bottom using some of these 2 1/4 inch screws. Very similar to my bench tutorial, if you guys remember. This is just such a simple woodworking technique, not even a technique, because this is nothing crazy at all. I don't even know what I'm doing, but it seemed right in my head. So basically what I'm doing is I'm screwing through our longer sections into our shorter sections, and we are going to be creating a wooden box, which is then going to be underneath our cabinet and prop it up and kind of give it a level of interest. And I just knew I needed to add some more detail to that bottom section as well. So what I did was I cut down these spare ending pieces from the dowels I cut originally. I cut them down to the same exact height of our little box section that's going to be the base of our cabinet, and I stapled them around using the same exact technique. Now comes time to attach the pieces together. So of course I didn't add those little detail sections to the backside because no one's going to see that, but I'm going to be using these little L brackets here. I picked these up at the hardware store. There's just simple 2 little screws that go on each side, and it's going to be attaching our legs or the base to the cabinet itself. So I just went ahead and I added 4 of these all around the entire interior of the box. That's why I loved creating the box, because it allowed me to easily attach these in. Once you have that on there, it's nice and sturdy and good to go. And of course we want a nice clean finish before staining, so I grabbed this stainable wood filler and I'm going to fill all of our little brad nail holes, and once that's dried down, just use a nice fine sandpaper to remove any of that filler residue over the top. So here you can see what we are working with so far. I am so obsessed with the base of this, but you really can't see the details. So I'm going to make this pop using some True Black Wood Finish by Minwax. This is just like a wood stain, and I went in with a stain brush and I went around and painted the entire exterior, every single nook and cranny with this stain here. Now guys, I do suggest wearing gloves for this because I got it all over my hands and they were stained like crazy afterwards. However, it was totally worth it because this project turned out amazing in the end. And when I initially painted on the black wood stain, it was so dark, but as it dried, it kind of soaked into the wood and you can really see the wood grain through it, which is something I really wanted to see through, was that wood grain while it still had that kind of like dark black wood look, if that makes sense. I let the stain dry overnight just so that it could really penetrate the wood, and then in the morning I went ahead and I grabbed a drill and I'm going to be drilling through the front to add some handle pulls. Originally I wasn't going to do this, but I loved these ones that I found at Lowe's. They were just like such a soft, warm toned, like golden silver color. They were just really pretty. They were almost like a champagne tone, and that just finished off this cabinet. I love the outcome.